Good morning, children. Welcome to today's class. In the last class, we have discussing a lesson, Science and Hope of Survival by Kelly's Baruch. That he was doing a research. In that time, a notice has been issued about his research from Russian Academy of Science. So here the three nuclear powers, that is Soviet Union, United States and United Kingdom. Three powers possessing nuclear weapons met behind the closed doors. The president showed him the summons and that an American scientist, Frank Press, quoted his work while arguing with Moscow experts. These are the things we have discussed in the last class. Today, I am going to continue the lesson. Page number 162, paragraph number 6. Please open your books and observe my reading and pronunciation. Okay, let's start. In formal terms, the problem was the following. Suppose that the nuclear powers had signed an agreement to stop the test of the nuclear weapons, and one of the participants had violated this agreement and secretly made an underground nuclear explosion. The problem is, how can the other powers detect the violation? It turned out that this problem had a direct connection with the theory of seismic waves. Underground nuclear explosions produced earth tremors very similar to those generated by earthquakes. How could one distinguish the natural tremors from the ones produced by the explosion? Suddenly, my theoretical knowledge had a direct application in the area of survival of the humankind. In the atmosphere of the ongoing Cold War, with political tensions hanging over our heads, scientists and engineers from the opposite sides of the island curtain had to find a solution which outwardly seemed impossible given all our differences in cultural background. What saved us was a clear and obvious distinction. We were all scientists. We were able to work out a common language based on respect to all evidence, undisputable ranking by experience only, and persistent self-criticism. We were working out a solution that eventually allowed politicians to reach one of the most important decisions of their times, nuclear test ban. This episode taught me that as a scientist, I have people all over the world who think and interact the way I do. It taught me never to feel lonely abroad. And above all, it taught me that while there is science, there is hope of survival and well-being for all of us. A common load is that immersion in science does not go with practical sense. It is true that on occasions a greatest mathematician of our time was so involved in a current problem that he could leave home wearing shoes from two different pairs. However, if you look carefully, you will find another side of this, which makes scientists the most practical people in the world. All new technologies, all new brands of industry from defense to entertainment stem from fundamental research. Among past examples are antibiotics, electronics, biotechnology, synthetic fibers, the green revolution, and genetic forensic diagnosis, to name just a few. And now only the basic research could give us new source of energy, new mineral deposits, and efficient defense from terrorism, cure from cancer, new forms of transportation. People trained in theoretical physics are headhunted by financial institutions. Those trained in frontiers of biological research became founders and directors in the pharmaceutical industry. So, knowledge of basic science will give you a head started in whatever career you choose. Let's stop there. I will explain it from paragraph number 6. So, there was a problem. So, both those three nuclear powers, they are ready to come to an agreement of to ban the new nuclear test. But there was a problem, there was a doubt. If any country or if any scientists belong to the country made or make a secret test of nuclear weapons, how can the members of that group or the other countries will know that? That was a problem. That has been discussed in paragraph number 6. The problem was the following. So there was a problem that how the other countries will come to know that a country has made a nuclear test. That was a problem. Suppose that the nuclear power had signed agreement to stop the test of the new nuclear weapons. Suppose a country in the world signed a agreement, signing a deal that they will not conduct any new nuclear test in the upcoming years. If it has signed the deal, signed the agreement, okay, then one of the participants, so those in those three nuclear powers, if one of the participants, it means one of the country, one of the nuclear power had violated this agreement. If one of the participant, one of the country will violated this agreement. Violated means ಉಲ್ಲಂಘಿಸು, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಉಲ್ಲಂಘಿಸು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. If it violated this agreement, that violated this and secretly made an underground nuclear explosion. So, three nuclear powers had signed the agreement that they will not conduct any new nuclear test. But if any participant of that, if any country will violated this agreement and make the new nuclear test, how can other countries will come to know these things? That is, if a country made or make a secret underground nuclear explosion, how can other countries will come to know? This was the problem. The problem is, how can the other powers detect the violation? Here, violate means VI. Violate means disobey law. Disobey law or go against agreement. So, violate means disobey law or go against agreement. It means to say that one should not follow the rules and regulation of the agreement. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನುಗಳನ್ನ ಉಲ್ಲಂಘನೆ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂತದನ್ನ ವಯೋಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. So this was the problem, that how can other nuclear powers will come to know these things. So here it turned out that this problem had a direct connection with the theory of seismic waves. So our author Calais Barrow, he was doing research on seismic waves. So this problem was directly connected to the research of Calais Barrow. How? That we have to see in the 7th paragraph. Direct connection with the theory of seismic waves. Underground nuclear explosions produced earth tremors very similar to those generated by earthquakes. So, if any country or if any nuclear power had made a secret nuclear test explosion, the tremors which were released from the explosion were very similar to the waves which were released when the earthquakes happens. Really, ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಲೆಗಳು ಏನಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ಟ್ರೆಮೋರ್ಸ್, ಅವು ಈ ಭೂಕಂಪ ಸಂಭವಿಸಿದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಲೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ, ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತವೆ, ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ. So here earthquake means earthquake means bhukampa. Please take down the meanings of the difficult words. So underground nuclear explosions produced the earth tremors. So earth tremors means the waves. When the nuclear explosion has been made, there will be a waves, there will be a tremors. ಅಲೆಗಳು ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಆ ಅಲೆಗಳು ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್, ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ, ಸಮನಾಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಟು ದೋಸ್ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಅರ್ಥ್ಕ್ವೇಕ್ಸ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಅಣು ಬಾಂಬುಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅಲೆಗಳಿಗೂ ಈ ಭೂಕಂಪ ಆದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅಲೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ. How could one distinguish the natural tremors from the ones produced by the explosion? So how can we distinguish? Distinguish means how can we separate or how can we recognize? ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಅವನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? Distinguish means here we can say recognize. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು? How could one distinguish the natural tremors? So when the earthquake happens, the waves produced by the earthquakes, they are natural tremors. But when the nuclear explosion has been made, that time the waves released, they were called nuclear tremors. So how can we differentiate these waves? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಭೂಕಂಪ ಸಂಭವಿಸಿದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಲೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಲೆಗಳು ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ. ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬೇರ್ಪಡಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? ಇದು ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇಂದ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೆಮೋರ್ಸ್, ಇದು ಅರ್ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೆಮೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Suddenly my theoretical knowledge had a direct application in the area of survival of the humankind. So here the research was made by Carlos Burrow. It makes the difference between the tremors of earthquakes and the tremors of nuclear explosion. So this was directly connected to the subject, and that's why he is calling in the area of survival of the humankind. So through this way he helps to survive this world or the humankind. ಮಾನವ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವನ್ನ ಉಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಈ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸರ್ವೈವಲ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸರ್ವೈವಲ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ. ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾನವ ಕುಲ. ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾನವ ಕುಲ. In the atmosphere of the ongoing Cold War, so there will be a Cold War. Cold War means after the Second World War, there will be a situation of Third World War. There was a humanity, there was an enmity between the Americans and the Russian. There was a two groups. The countries of this world has been differentiated or had been divided in two groups. In the leadership of Russia, that is communist countries, and in the leadership of America, that is democratic. So in that time there was no war, but there was a condition, there was a situation of at any time that war is going to happen. That type of situation is called as Cold War. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡನೇ ಮಹಾಯುದ್ಧದ ನಂತರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ದೇಶಗಳು ಎರಡು ಗುಂಪುಗಳಾಗಿ ವಿಭಜನೆ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ರಷ್ಯಾದ ಒಂದು ನಾಯಕತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಸ್ಟ್ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಮೆರಿಕದ ನಾಯಕತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗಳು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಗುಂಪುಗಳಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಯುದ್ಧ ಸಂಭವಿಸಬಹುದು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಶೀತಲ ಸಮರ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆನ್ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್, ಆ ಶೀತಲ ಸಮರದ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ, ಆ ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ, with political tensions hanging over our heads. So there was a lot of political tensions because every country is on the way to improving their weapons. They are researching about more powerful bombs So that in that time, scientists and engineers, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಎಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಗಳು from the opposite side of the iron curtain had point to solution. So from the both side of this world, from both side, the scientists and the engineers, they have to work similarly, and they have to forget their differences in cultural background. They have to forget their differences. They may belong to different countries, but they have to work for the survival of this humankind. ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗಳಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿದಂತಹ ಆ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾನವನ ಕುಲದ ಒಳಿತಿಗಾಗಿ, ಅದರ ಉಳಿವಿಗಾಗಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. Which outwardly seemed impossible given all our differences in cultural background. But it seems impossible because they all belong to the different cultural backgrounds. What saved us was a clear and obvious distinction. It has been saved because a clear and obvious distinction. Distinction means differences. Bhinnate ante karite. So here obvious means OBVIOUS. OBVIOUS. Obvious means clear. ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾದ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. We were all scientists. We were able to work out a common law. So scientists have to work in a common language. Common language means in a common objectives. The main aim, the main objective of the scientist has to work for the survival of humankind. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಾನವರ ಒಳಿತಿನ ಅದನ್ನೇ ತಮ್ಮ ಗುರಿಯಾಗಿರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Based on respect to all evidence, undisputable ranking by expertise only, and persistent self-criticism. So persistent means persistence means continuous, ನಿರಂತರವಾದ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. And self-criticism means ಆತ್ಮವಿಮರ್ಶೆ. They have to criticize themselves whether they are doing right or wrong. So every scientist had to do all these things. They have to work constantly, persistently, and with self-criticism. We were working out a solution that eventually allowed politicians to reach one of the most important decisions of their times, nuclear test ban. So all the scientists, they have to work. How they have to work? They have to work to allow politicians. So scientists they have to do research, but the decisions have to be taken by the politicians only. So allowed politicians to reach one of the most important decisions of their times. So the politicians had to come to an and decision. All the nuclear powers, the leaders of the nuclear powers, they have to come to a decision, they have to come to a conclusion to that they have to come to a decision of nuclear test ban. ಈ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ದಿನ ಈ ನಾಯಕರು ಏನು ಈ ಅಣುಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಈ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಪವರ್ ಏನು ಅಮೆರಿಕ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ರಷ್ಯಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದರ ಒಂದು ನಾಯಕರೇನಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಈ ಅಣು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ಧಾರವನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರು ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. This episode taught me that as a scientist, I have people all over the world who think and interact the way I do. So this incident taught the author Carlos Burrow that a scientist, I have all over the world who think and interact the way I do. So all the scientists of the world, they have interact and they are doing their research in the same way. There is no differences in their words. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಿಂದ ಆ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಸ್ ಬರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ತಮ್ಮ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರ ಅರಿವಿಗೆ ಬಂತು. It taught me never to feel lonely abroad. And it also gave confidence to the author Carlos Burrow, because he thought that this incident taught him that he will not alone in this world. He was not alone in the world. ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಏಕಾಂಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಭಾವನೆ ಕೂಡ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು. And above all, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವುಗಳಿಗಿಂತ it taught me that while there is science, there is a hope of survival and well-being for all of us. Above all, the author Carlos Burrow come to know that if there is science, there is a hope of survival. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಳಿವು ಇದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So here there is hope of survival and well-being for all of us. ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಒಳಿತು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಳಿವು ಕೂಡ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಭಾವನೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆಯಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಸ್ ಬರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. A common law is that immersion in science does not go with political science, practical science. So it was a common law. ಇದೊಂದು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆ, ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ವಾಸ್ತವವಾದಿಗಳು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ ದಟ್, ಹೌದು ಅದು ನಿಜ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ ದಟ್ ಆನ್ ಅಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಷಿಯನ್, ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಷಿಯನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಗಣಿತಜ್ಞ ಅಂತ, ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಷಿಯನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಸ್ ಬರೋ ಅವರ ಟೈಮಿನ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಣಿತಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಜ್ಞ was so involved in a current problem. So he was so much involved in his research that how much he has been involved, however, that he could leave home wearing shoes from two different pairs. So ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಸ್ ಬರೋಕ್ ಅವರ ಕಾಲದ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಣಿತಜ್ಞ ತನ್ನ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅವನು ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯ ಶೂಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದ. He was that much involvement he was in his research. different phases. However, if you look carefully, you will find another side of this, which scientists are the most practical people in the world. So, in the other side, if you see, scientists are the most practical people. ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಈ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ಗಳೇ ಕೂಡ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ವಾಸ್ತವವಾದಿಗಳು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋಣ. ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್. You have to answer all these questions and you have to send it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, homework. So I will give you 2 questions. What was the problem that the nuclear powers had faced? So this was the only one question I am giving you for homework. Okay, I hope you have all understand today's lesson. Okay, let's see the next class. Thank you.